Man, oh man, is it a movie today? Let's talk about Barry Levinson, Robin Williams' toys, and just what a crazy movie it is. Gosh golly gee whiz.
Hello, popcorn delivery.
Put a little weekend in your week. Rent a video.
So hot take here, I'm about to offend everyone in the audience. Robin Williams was not that funny. Like, he wasn't that funny a guy. Like, he was like Tony Shalhoub levels of funny. Like, yeah, you might hire him for a wedding or something, but is he like a laugh a minute? Nah, not really. I've never seen, I don't know what the appeal of Robin Williams is to so many people. I've never seen anyone's death hyped up so much 5 years after the fact, and he's still in every single news report and tabloid, and it's like, the guy is dead, you know, like, but even when he was alive, like, none of the movies he's in have ever, like, made me laugh, like a Chris Farley movie, or you know, John Hughes joint have, or John Landis joint, or, I mean, as far as comedies go, like, the stuff Robin Williams is in is like, Mrs. Doubtfire is probably his funniest movie because he's in drag, but it's still about him losing custody of his children and, you know, manipulating his ex, and it's kind of a drama. And the same he was in that awful 1 hour photo movie, which is like The Cable Guy, but with Polaroid cameras instead of cable. It's Peter Pan, you know, but like, Peter Pan isn't what I think of when I think like gold tier comedy. I think like, you know, Tommy Boy or something. Like, he's a really good dramatic actor. Like, he's good at making you cry, if that's what you're into. He's also really good at impressions, but unfortunately it takes more than impressions to be funny. You need to have timing, and you also need to have jokes. Like, Robin Williams can really sound like Michael Jackson, or sound like Bing Crosby and Bob Hope or whatever, but like, that's all there is to it. He's just a really good impressionist. And you take someone like Phil Hartman, you know, who's also a really good impressionist, but like, you know, he's also actually like really funny. I've never heard anyone say like, man, I miss Phil Hartman. Man, when Phil Hartman was alive, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, that was the best.
It's just Key Rock, Your Honor, and yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
Now, obviously, there are a lot of people who respect Phil Hartman, but I've never seen Phil Hartman just adored on the level Robin Williams is, and that's really weird, you know? Like, I've never seen a serious Phil Hartman simp, and that might be because he was such a good impressionist that I can't even think of how he looks without makeup or a costume on. He's kind of like the Lon Chaney of comedians. Anyway, this is a Barry Levinson movie. I got mixed feelings on the guy. I mean, on one hand, he directed Sphere, which I think is one of the most underrated science fiction movies ever, and it's really good and really cool, and I think it's even better than The Abyss. He's also behind Rain Man, like solid box office gold. Behind Wag the Dog, which is coming up in the series here. I'm going to do an installment on that. I like Wag the Dog. It's a good movie. But he also did the Robin Williams joint, Good Morning Vietnam, which is just 2 hours of people complimenting Robin Williams on how funny he is, and him doing funny voices for 2 hours. And I don't know, maybe if you were in Vietnam and Robin Williams was the only comedian you could listen to, he might be like, yeah, okay. But like, I'm not in Vietnam, so I don't know. Would anyone in Vietnam even find Robin Williams that funny? Because like, he doesn't like say anything about the political climate of the time. He just makes funny voices into a microphone. I don't know if he's the best comedian. Maybe he'd be a really good podcaster, but I don't know. There's just like, there's something disturbing about a movie where all that happens is people are, you're so funny, man, you're the king of comedy, you're so funny.
I really shouldn't kid Frenchie because sometimes he gets mad at me.
Good Morning Vietnam admittedly is better than this. You know, there's some nice scenes in it. It's kind of heartfelt. And I can see why Barry Levinson would make it, because the idea is kind of interesting. But this is just nothing more than a vanity project right here. And you know, when Robin Williams was alive, nobody was simping for him, and this movie was a total ass bomb. Nobody liked it. Nobody was into it. Nobody was even like remotely into it. And it really shows. This is one of the most bizarre cases I've got. It looks like the cover is superimposed, and the case is just black on the back, on one of the sides, and on the top. On this side it says toys, but it's just a really weird case. It doesn't have a description or a rating on the back or anything. I think this might be because the VHSs of toys and DVDs of toys weren't released until 2001, 9 years after it was made. So that must be this. Like, just imagine being a film so bizarre and forgotten about that you don't get a release for 9 years. It's just mind-boggling to me, especially with VHS being so cheap to produce. But I mean, you couldn't watch this in your home until 2001. It was made in 1992. I just find that mental. Absolutely flippin' mental. So this is Toys. It's not 92. It precedes Toy Story by a very wide margin. But make no mistake, this ain't Toy Story. And admittedly, it is better than Toy Story. Just because it's an actual movie and not a cheap cartoon. But it is a weird-ass movie. Now, this movie was rated PG-13. I don't know why it would be rated PG-13. There's nothing in the slightest provocative or anything about this. And really, you'd only enjoy this if you were A, on acid, or B, a 5-year-old. I mean, if you were a 5-year-old, you might actually be kind of impressed by, wow, so many cool toys and so much crap going on. Oh man, it's a Slinky. You know, I like Slinkies, but like, I think Barry Levinson just kind of clutters the whole film up with just like sight, and it's just like a sensory overload. Like, not a sensory overload in the same way 1941 is a sensory overload. You know, this has some, at least like some scenes with people talking and people like interacting, and there is a plot. But like every scene is just crammed with all this like visual clutter to the point where you can't even focus on what's going on. It's such a busy movie. And like the effects just look so gorgeous. They're so like slippery and shiny, but I don't know what to call it. Now in the front here you got Robin Williams, and he has a hole in his hat, and apparently on the other poster it's like Inception, and he keeps having hats like he's in the hole in his hat, and it goes back and back, and but here it's just he's not in his hat. I don't know what. I think it's supposed to be like Rene Magritte, you know, the guy with the apple for the face or whatever. But yeah. So in this, Robin Williams lives inside a Windows 95 wallpaper. He basically lives in Teletubby land. I don't know how they got such pristine rolling green hills. They're just like pure, just like, it's not a set, it's clearly some kind of environment, but I don't know how any environment could possibly look that artificial. It's just this random toy factory in the middle of nowhere. Like, just imagine driving out in the country and it looks like a Windows 95 backdrop, and then you see this giant laughing elephant on the hill blowing bubbles out of its trunk, and that's basically how this movie is. It's a freaking anomaly. It's as anomalous as a weird toy factory out in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know how they got a landscape to look that fake. It's just bonkers. There's no buildings in this movie except the toy factory. It just feels so isolated and desolate. The plot basically is that video games are bad, Tanks are bad, planes are bad, you know, all the cool toys are evil. The only ones that are good are the little wind-up ones, the little soldier, not the little soldiers, obviously, that's too militaristic. The little wind-up crocodiles, the little wind-up ducks, and the idea is that, you know, video games are bad.
You saw those kids back there at the arcade.
But at the same time, you know, you've got like this immersive virtual reality helmet with like brain probes on it presented as like, yeah, this is a nice toy, but G.I. Joe, no thank you, we'll cut the line there. But like, I mean, come on, virtual reality goggles, those are a little more invasive. This movie is really kind of ahead of its time for 92. You've got such things as VR helmets. You've also got, at one point, the villain General Leland Zivo mentions, like, what if attack helicopters were like the size of toys? And, you know, that's happening now with drones. So, it is mildly impressive for 92, what with how they, you know, saw all this and were like, oh, yeah, but, I mean, the video game and computer graphics all look pretty good. They look pretty advanced for the time. I mean, we're talking 92, you know, so this, like, before the internet was around. Joan Cusack's character, her name's like Albania or something. She's basically wacky and silly and wears this stupid wig. And, did I mention this is the film debut of Jamie Foxx? He's in like 2 scenes and you probably wouldn't even notice him unless you're looking for him. But yeah, this is the first movie Jamie Foxx was ever in. But anyway, Joan Cusack's character is Robin Williams' sister. And at the end it turns out, spoiler warning, she's a robot. But Robin Williams isn't a robot. He's a normal human being, except he shouldn't be. He should also be a robot at the end because they're both flippin' insane. They're both off their rack bonkers. Like, I don't think... Okay, so the villain in this movie is Leland Zivo, who's Robin Williams' dad's brother. It's a very convoluted family tree, lots of tension in it. But essentially, Leland is like the villain. You're not supposed to like him. He's supposed to be insane. And yet, like, he's the only character you can identify with, him and his son, LL Cool J. Yeah, did I mention LL Cool J's in this movie? That LL Cool J.
Rap star LL Cool J plays Patrick Zivo, Leslie's cousin.
His son and him are like the only normal characters because they come from the outside world, outside this nightmarish Teletubby land, you know, where things are like normal. So you can actually kind of like identify with them, even though Leland is like a megalomaniac. He's at least a normal person. And Robin Williams and his demented sister are like nutcases.
Because he's like, you know, it's a man-child.
They're freaking weird. They put freaking vitamins in their sandwiches and shit. Like, you can't help but feel with Leland, like, yeah, these people are flipping insane, and this toy factory is run like an insane asylum. When are we going to get some professionalism in here? No, admittedly, Leland does go a little overboard, and his character is written to be this unlikable tyrant. But you really don't like Robin Williams that much. He just does goofy voices the whole time. He doesn't take anything seriously. He's not invested in what goes on. Like, can you imagine being left in a room alone for an hour with just Robin Williams just making goofy voices all the time? Man, it'd get old. Like, and that's how he is in this movie. Like, I can get why Leland is so disturbed by him. Because all he does is make goofy voices non-stop. Oh, man. Like, we're supposed to like Robin Williams. We're supposed to root for him, but he's just not that charismatic in this. And that's saying something, you know, because he's not that charismatic in any of his roles. I guess he tries his best. He's just weird, and so is everyone except LL Cool and Leland. So yeah, I don't know why this is rated PG-13. There's one point where there's a music video and Robin Williams pretends to be David Byrne, basically, and he tries to do a Talking Heads impression. The song is kind of catchy, like the soundtrack is competent. It opens and closes with this weird-ass Christmas music video stage play where, like, there's all these, like, dancing gingerbread men and stuff. And the movie isn't even set at Christmas, I don't think. It's not a Christmas movie. And, like, you know, it has to do with toys, obviously, but so does Toy Story, and that's not a Christmas movie. But, like, it's just so flippin', like, it tries to be a Christmas movie. It kind of crams that in there the same way 1941 crams it in there. I am never going to stop making comparisons to 1941. Anyway, it's a very weird movie. And, you know, coming from an accomplished director like Barry Levinson, I just gotta wonder, you know, is this his worst movie? Possibly. But it's also very technically ambitious. And I think most of the humor is supposed to come from this, like, dramatic soap opera family drama that's going on at the same time as all this weird shit with all these weird-ass toys and props and sets and everything.
General Leland Helena Zivo, and don't mix with me or there'll be trouble.
Like, there's the point where Leland and Leslie are talking in the car and there's ducks crossing in front of them, and like it, and then there's the bit where they're all talking about novelty vomit, and oh, novelty vomit is great, but video games, those sure do suck.
Can we cater to Asian people, please? That would make me very happy. I mean, this vomit is very Anglo, very ethnocentric. This is obviously the vomit of the white man.
Like, this is video game phobic way before the Columbine Massacre. This movie just shits all over video games. And if that isn't bonkers enough, this movie had a video game tie-in, and like the movie, nobody was into it. Nobody cared, nobody played it. If you have a copy of Toys the video game, it's probably valuable. It's just a weird movie. It's very surreal. You won't believe what you're seeing. You won't believe Jamie Foxx is in it. Heck, you won't believe Robin Williams is in it. There's so many stars in this, so much star power. And then Joan Cusack's character, Allegra, or whatever, she's a robot.
Vitamin pills.
It's just like, may as well all be robots. None of it makes any sense. This movie is so off the wall and out there that you can't get invested in anything because all of it is set in a fantasy world.
I think that Toys is a completely believable fantasy.
None of it this is not our reality here. This is not even close. Like, if the Zevo toy factory was real, when it shut down, man, all the people who cried about Toys R Us shutting down would be like, they wouldn't even care anymore, because the Zevo toy factory is like Toys R Us on steroids. Like, it's like 10 times the fun of Toys R Us at Times Square with the Ferris wheel, you know? But yeah, this is just a weird-ass flippin' movie. And after you've watched it, you might know why I don't like Robin Williams. You might come to understand my perspective a little more. I don't think the guy was ever in a movie I would consider groundbreaking or incredible. He tries. He clearly has a lot of enthusiasm, but is he like the funniest comedian? Nah, he's not even in the top 10. But if you watch this movie, which most Robin Williams fans, I never hear him mention this movie, you might come to understand, like, just, you know, he's not that funny a guy, and Barry Levinson is trying to hype him up after Good Morning Vietnam to be the next frickin', you know, the next frickin' dude. Like, I remember Night of the Museum, Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt is not the part I remember as being funny. I remember Dick Van Dyke in Night in the Museum more than Robin Williams. I remember Ben Stiller, because Ben Stiller is funny. I don't remember Robin Williams that much because all he's there to do as Teddy Roosevelt is give exposition about the magic mummy curse. And in a world where Steve Martin plays the banjo, I just gotta wonder, why is everyone so hyped over Robin Williams? He was in some okay movies. He wasn't funny in them. Dead Poets Society, perfectly acceptable movie. This isn't such a perfectly acceptable movie. This is a bonkers, weird movie.
Makes love.
I like you. Well, I like you too.
And it is just an absolute, like, it is a weird movie. I feel kind of bad hating on this movie so much because clearly it was trying to do something I can't even begin to understand. That's how weird this flippin' movie is. LL Cool J's in this. And the only part I even really laughed at was this part where LL Cool J's character Patrick, Leland's son, says, "I don't like it when food touches on my plate. I'm a military man." And that was the only part where I laughed because it's kind of funny. I don't like when food touches on my plate. I like to quarantine my green beans or something. And that made me laugh, but none of the parts with Robin Williams made me laugh because he's just talking about vomit.
Well, we can have something like the teriyaki toss.
And making these weird voices and these weird coats. And LL Cool J isn't even a comedian, he's a rapper. So, if he's funnier than Robin Williams, that should say something about the humor factor of Robin Williams. There's more to comedy than Nanu, I just gotta toss that out there, he tries. Clearly he was passionate about his work, passionate about his career. He thought he was bringing the chuckles to people. And maybe, who knows, some people really do find Toys the wackiest, craziest, funniest, zaniest movie on the face of the earth. I can only imagine how much the sucker cost to build all these giant toy installations out in a grass field somewhere. But yeah, if you're big into nostalgia, you might want to watch this movie. You'll wonder how the heck you missed it. The reason is because it was, I guess, too mature for kids and too asinine for grown-ups who weren't interested in watching Robin Williams talk about vomit.
Not the toy maker. I'll be back. Wind me.
I don't know. It's better than Toy Story, like I said. This is a movie. It's not a lame Pixar cartoon. It's very, it tries. Joan Cusack's okay. I just don't know why she has to be a robot at the end. That seems like complete overkill.
So this is Paris.
Her Albania character is just weird the whole time. Everyone's weird. Nobody makes any sense. Pop this in, turn it off. You'd think you were watching some experimental shit, but no, this is a legitimate big budget Barry Levinson mainstream movie. I never would have guessed, but yeah, a movie so bad it wasn't released for 9 years on VHS. And that's why this case is just blank, except one side, where Robin Williams is laughing like, "Ho ho, I'm the Chuckle Meister, don't you want to have a good laugh?"
I don't know really.
Yeah, I wish I could be as inspiring and heart-touching as you, Robin, but I just, for one, don't get it. What's so funny about Robin Williams? He's good at improv. I assume all his scenes in this are improv because they're all just they just seem like that. I'd honestly be surprised if they were scripted. But yeah, that's Toys for you. Pre-Aladdin, pre-Toy Story, pre-everything, pre-Teletubbies. But it looks so much like Teletubbies. This is a bonkers movie, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to give this 3 stars. I can't give it 4 stars because it's not a very good movie. I can certainly see why this movie failed. Either it was too experimental for its time, or it tried new things, or it just wasn't very good, and nobody knew what they were doing, and nobody really cared. But yeah, this is just a movie full of just total visual clutter. Maybe watch it, you might be interested by it. I can't really shit on this movie, like I said. It's too 4D chess for me to begin to comprehend, but 3 stars for this, because I can't give it 4. I mean, come on, it's not that good. Anyway, that's been a VHS Crazy review of Robin Williams' toys, or should I say Barry Levinson's toys. How the director of Rain Man could make something this bizarre and weird, I don't know. It's just one of the many surprises you'll find when combing the VHS racks. Forgotten relics. Man, oh man, what a weird release. Yeah, that's about it. If you like what you saw, then write to Nicholas Cicada, 1424 Columbine Street, number 1, Denver, Colorado, 80206. I got some more reviews on the way. And yeah, buy Nicholas Comics. Sayonara, suckers.
That we're calling Maui Chowie or Don Ho Heave. Stop! My foot's in here.